What's up, guys? Barry at CTech-review. Today, I'm going to show you something crazy I just noticed. Is the car market crashing? Sort of, but sort of not. Very confusing. Some things are going up and some things are going down. Let me show you. If there's one thing I'm happy is that I bought my RHO when I did, because MSRP on these trucks are now up $3,000 more than they were when I got mine. But here's what's wild. The demand for the Hemi and the Ram 1500 has been big, right guys? A ton. We just did a video on this a week ago. Hemi Bighorn. This one's been here for 2 months. Laramie, Hemi, not a Hemi. Not a Hemi. You guys notice something? There's some weird things going on. There's some trucks missing here, but they've still got a good selection of the Hemi trucks. What's confusing to me is I was under the impression that these trucks were sold out everywhere. But when I start digging into how many of these things are available, blew my mind. Let me show you. But I'm going to show you something else that blew my mind. Look what's going on with the Jeep Grand Wagoneer inventory situation. Was not expecting this. All right, now I'm going to show you something that blew me away. I went over to Jeep.com and I looked up 2025 Jeep Grand Wagoneers, full-size SUV, the most expensive Jeep you can buy. I looked nationwide and there's 117 2025 available Grand Wagoneers today across the country. I said, that's insane. Let me go over to Car Guru and see what the numbers look like. Go over on Car Guru. Car Guru is saying there's actually only 68. Now, on Car Guru, what's cool is you can actually search the 2026s. If we raise this to 2026, you'll see this go up 282, which is still nothing. But the 2026s, for the most part, have not hit dealership lots. They're in transit or being built. So they will show up on Car Guru, but you can't find them on Jeep.com or Ram.com when you're looking. I'm sorry, on Jeep.com when you're looking. But imagine this. Most expensive Jeep out there, Grand Wagoneer. They're very expensive. And there's 117 of these available. Now we know why there's only $1,500 in incentives on this thing. Dealerships are offering discounts, but Jeep is like, nah, we're good. We're not going to offer a whole lot of discounts. And you can kind of see some of these dealerships are still offering $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 off. So you're getting 10 to 15% off MSRP. But let's look at Ram, because the Ram thing is really interesting to me. If we look right now nationwide, there's 63,202 Ram 1500s, 25s, and 26s right now, either in transit being built or at the dealership right now for Ram 1500s. Seems like a pretty big number. How does that correspond when we look at the Hemi engine and the Hurricane? If we specifically look at the Ram 1500 for 2025s, there's only 7,400 2025s left. There are another 43,000 26s already out there. So you got 50,000 according to this. But let's break this down now into powertrains, because everything we keep hearing is that this Hemi is in heavy demand right now. So there shouldn't be a lot of these available. This number went up since I researched this recently. It was 15,000. Of the 60,000 Rams available right now, 22,000 of them are available with the Hemi V8. Now, I'm going to tell you why I think this is a big deal. This engine's only been brought back to production for only 2 months, and somehow they've got 22,794 of these available, which is a massive number. When we go and compare this now to Ford, look what Ford has across the country right now. Ford outsells Ram 2-1, and Ford only has 66,000 F-150s available nationwide right now. There's not many 26s out there. Very, very few. It's mostly 2025s. So this is why we're seeing the discounts on the Ram so heavily. But what still shocks me is the amount of Hemis that are available. I thought this was in such demand, you wouldn't be able to find one. Yet 5 minutes from my house, I can find 25 of them available to purchase. And by the way, if you guys are interested, Brighton Jeep, Fowlerville Ram, Brighton Chrysler. Just search around Michigan and you're going to find a bunch of Ram 1500 Hemis available. But let's keep looking at this data. When we look at Silverado 1500s nationwide, 59,000. When we look at GMCs, 44,000. When we look at the total pickup truck market, according to Car Gurus, there's 527,000, almost over 500,000 pickup trucks, brand new, available. But this includes all segments. That's what you got to understand in all brands. So according to this, got 500,000 trucks available at this moment. But what we're trying to focus on here is, what do you do with this data? If we go over to Cox Automotive, this is a really great company that is constantly looking at the analytics of the market. This market, guys, has been all over this year. We've seen numbers at the first part of the year when there are fears of price increases due to tariffs and all this jazz. We saw a huge demand where people thought we might see 17.5 million trucks or vehicles purchased in 2025. That would be a record-setting year. A good, strong year typically in the U.S. market is about 16.5 million vehicles. That was actually looking that way until just recently. On December 4th, Cox Automotive did an update for their SAAR, and they're now saying the expected number is 15.6 million, which is below the 15.7 million forecast. And the industry slowdown through Q3, they thought it was going to be 16.3 million. Why is this important? Going from 16.3 million to 15.7 is a 600,000 vehicle decline in just a few weeks. 600,000 vehicles less. And guys, we've got a month left. That tells me they're expecting Q4 to be very, very slow, finishing out the end of the year. And it's very confusing because when we see vehicles like the Jeep at only 68 or 117 of these available, and they're $110,000, and yet there's none of them available, you then start asking, well, who the heck is buying this stuff if there's none of it available? And then you see the Ram 1500 with the Hemi, which was supposed to be heavy demand, and we see 22,794 of these. Who's buying it? If we go over to GM Authority just made an article here a few days ago, and this is all over. You can read up about this, but basically Chevrolet production, GMC heavy duty, light duty at the Flint assembly plant is going to be paused for a month. Why is this important again, guys? It's because I've been saying this all along. These manufacturers are not going to be handing over 20, 30, 40% price increases like we've been told by a lot of people for the past few years, that we're going to see these 35% discounts. The manufacturers are going to cut production rates so they can keep prices high. And this is exactly what is happening with General Motors. And to General Motors' credit, it's a great business decision for them. It's not as good for us because we're going to pay more for vehicles, but they're going to keep the vehicle prices high and they're going to cut production. To be fair, guys, I've been in the automotive industry a long time. It's very common to see a slowdown in production around the holidays anyhow. They're going to take this opportunity to work on revamping the line. It's not uncommon, but they are seeing a slowdown in demand. But this is a perfect segue to now talk about the heavy-duty truck market. Where is that at? 31,246 Silverado heavy-duty trucks available. 24,000 GMC heavy-duty trucks available. 58,493 Ford Super Duty trucks available, and 37,000 Ram HD trucks. So what does this all tell us? What this tells us is we've been seeing a trend of Ram reducing pricing, and it's worked. They're reducing inventory across some of their platform. You're seeing heavy discounts. I'm seeing $12,000 to $18,000 off on Ram 1500s, 2500s, Cummins. It might be a great opportunity for those in the market looking to do that. But they had to do it because they raised their prices so much the last few years. They lost their, I think, ability to be competitive in the marketplace. And I'm glad they brought back the Ram 1500 Hemi. And I'm glad that there's a bunch of them out here because maybe we'll see that $2,900 price increase of the Hemi. Maybe we'll see some of that disappear because I think you'll see it be a lot more of an attractive offer if you see that $2,900 price increase over the Hurricane disappear. If you're looking for a Grand Wagoneer, you're going to be holding out for a discount because I don't see much out there for dealer and for manufacturer discounts. It's only dealers offering discounts at the moment. The other thing I want to talk to you guys about is this right here. This is something I'm pretty proud of. I want to tell you guys, thank you so much for watching the channel. I finally hit 100,000 subscribers. Been doing YouTube for almost 8 years now, and it's something I worked hard. And I want to tell you guys, thank you so much for the support on the channel. A lot of fun things coming, and we're hoping to do more. Next year, we're going to get focused even more and try to lean into where we can help people more outside of looking at buying new vehicles. How do you make what you have currently last and do what's best for your family? So why is this important? What can you do with this information? How do you get a good deal? That's the whole point of this whole video is. From what I'm seeing locally by me, there are a ton of Ram 1500 Hemi trucks available right now. And there's hardly any Grand Wagoneer full-size SUVs. What does this tell me? Well, the everyday pickup truck that people would like, there's a bunch of them, but $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 Grand Wagoneers, there's hardly any of them? I just can't wrap my mind around this. All these 2500s are still available, and I'm starting to see some big discounts available. You want a Laramie, you want a Bighorn, you want gas, you want diesel? They're all available right now, guys. It's funny because my buddy Jason over at Jason Samco channel was just talking about the market and how these manufacturers, they're going to do what's best for them. And I think it's true. And everybody is waiting for this big price drop. And it's happening in some of these very unique scenarios. And some of these others, man, they're holding tight on their pricing. It doesn't make any sense to me. Another example, 2025 Cadillac XT5. This is an old platform vehicle. They don't even make it for 2026 anymore. And guess what? $3,000, $4,000 in rebates max on a $62,000 mid-size SUV. That is dated and it's a year old and dealers don't even want a deal. Blows my mind. Yet if you want to go trade a vehicle in for Carvana right now, you're going to get smoked. What does that tell us? What is going on with this market right now? Maybe you guys have a good idea that I'm missing, but I am not seeing it. I'd love to get your guys' thoughts and perspectives on this. Leave your comments down below. Thanks for watching, guys.